Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever, where today we're going to be looking at a 4v4 on Seton's Clutch. So go ahead and strap in, get ready. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a pretty long one. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into introducing our players. Top team is going to be the Team 1, Team 2 down here at the bottom. And we will start off with the air position, a blue or cyan UEF going first land by the name of Nancy Boy K. Down to his south, we have a red Aeon by the name of Zerbitivi. Zerb. We're going to go with Zerb. Going first air, red Aeon, all that. Pretty good, pretty good. Over to the front position, we have Vils, a purple Cybran, going first land. Then up to the north, we're gonna have ourselves a nice little UEF player by the name of Syndiclist, going first land. And he is a green UEF player. Then moving on to Team 2, we'll start with the air position once again. We have Cheeseberry, an orange Seraphim, going first land. Then to the north, we have ourselves a blue Cybran by the name of Arend going first air, and second air, for that matter. Then to the east, we have a white Seraphim by the name of JT going first land and going for the middle, along with, of course, our purple player by the name of Vils. They're going to be going for the reclaim in the middle. A 13,000 reclaim, not too shabby right here. Then last but not least, our beach player for Team 2, we have Willow's Duality! It's me. Yeah, we're going to be watching me again on Seton's, because it's the only map I do well on. And also, it's my favorite map, so thank you very much. But yeah, looking at the quality of the game, we're at an 89%, just barely below the threshold of balanced. I'm going to call it a balanced game, though. And we can see that the average rating between each teams is 1250 versus 1275. We have a smattering of Joes and pros with, I don't know, maybe it's just Joes. Do you think a 1400 is a Joe or a pro? I don't know, but we have a 1400 and 1500 for Team 1 and a 1400 and two 1400s for Team 2. Everybody else is 1200 or below. And yeah, that's basically where we sit. Let's go ahead and keep an eye here in the middle. We can see all of this reclaim, a whole bunch of orders given to grab that. When we zoom out and look at the map in its entirety, it's only about 14,000 reclaim, which is a reasonable number. JT deciding to start with the two Salem wrecks, both worth 911 reclaim each. We are seeing some scouts come out from the Arend. Sorry, I'm having trouble keeping track of names already. This is going to be a great cast. Either way, Arend got some flying eyes. I never realized that the air scout for Cybran was such an imaginative name, Flying Eyes. Hummingbird for the UEF one. Very interesting. We have a transport out from Zerb over here to this eastern island. Going to be grabbing that and setting up a little bit of a base. Also have out a Conservator, Team 1 Interceptor. Wow, what's this? Prowler? Wow, these all have very good names. I don't really know the air names of things other than like Restorer, Broadsword, Renegade, yeah, Jester. I know a lot of the gunships. Coronas for the air for what's it called? That's Aeon T3 ASF, right? Yeah. Either way, we're going to see now a transport out from Arend also grabbing the island. The islands are both going to be going to the rock players, which is generally how this map goes. Neither of the beach players trying to contest that, just saying, you can have it, we're just going to do our thing, and having a good time with it. Willow's Duality over here, spamming up some factories. We got like a pentagram of factories, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think you could make a pentagram with that if you felt like it. Maybe I'll overlay one over that build queue. Either way, we do have Zerb moving their comm over to build a mechs. Don't generally see that, but it is, of course, an option. And as we get through the early game, we can see that JT has gotten somewhat uncontested control of the middle here, and JT is hoovering up almost 6,000 mass versus Syndiclist, the next player to get a lot of mass, has sent a engineer to the middle and managed to pick up 2.6 thousand, whereas Vils has only gotten 104, barely getting any reclaim with that comm. Vils not opting for the strategy of very early going for the mass reclaim here in the middle, and you can see it is really hurting his efforts as there are 4 T2 pigeons for JT and 0 out from Vils. So JT is about to start outproducing Vils on a large scale if Vils does not find a way to eco up and get up more spam or produce a defensive location in time. We can see overall after this early game, the economies are kind of spreading out. We have Willow's Duality at 29, 41 for Arend, 51 for Cheeseberry, JT at 37, Vils at 19, Zerb at 37, Syndiclist at 41, and Nancy Boy at 51. So very early on, the economy is spread from about 19 all the way up to the low 50s. We see a transport out from Zerb. We're going to have to keep eyes on this as it comes in to try and drop on to the beach of Willow's Duality. Looks like it's going for those 3 mass points off to the side, and we'll keep an eye on that. We can see it's a bunch of fervors on this transport. As I spin it around, it wants to look really weird, and we'll have to see if these land or they do not land. Either way, bunch of factories in the background. There is, of course, a little bit of fighting going on in the middle, but I do not believe it's anything of super consequence at the moment. Let's see if this lands or if it's intercepted. It doesn't look like there's anything here to intercept it, so it's probably going to drop it off. Is the transport going to survive this, though? A land factory on the way. Wow, the camera acting very weird there. And we can see these artillery have been dropped and are causing issues for Willow's Duality. A factory going to be going down, and probably all of these mass points. Have they spotted it yet? No reaction just yet out of Willow's Duality. Over here in the middle, we can see a little bit of a scrimmage going on. Definitely more units for JT already, and Vils is trying to hold it off, using that comm to get some kills. Is going to help out a little bit here. JT not being quite as combat focused with their comm as of yet. These arties, these fervors off of that transport are not being dealt with. It doesn't look like there's any response. There is a ping out on them. We will have to see exactly how that's dealt with. The comm of Willow's Duality coming out towards them, and a mantis has now been produced to try and deal with that. A scout flying over, double checking that they exist and they are there. And that is going to need a response. It can possibly threaten a T2 mechs out here in the back row for Willow's Duality, and then if it continues to go forward, can threaten these mechs and these in the middle. A factory being control K'd over here by Cheeseberry, and the Mantis is slowly catching up. I do believe that this mass extractor is going to be doomed, and we're going to be able to watch that in real time as it does. And the shots are falling, and the mechs goes down without a hitch. Of course, the Mantis is caught up, and these artillery are not going to be able to kill that Mantis very effectively. Moving targets have never been the forte of a land mobile artillery. The Mantis stopping for some reason, which is a really strange thing to do. Need to keep that Mantis moving. It is faster than these fervors, so it will catch up really quickly once again. More Mantis on the way, but need to keep these underway. There is a Jester coming out from Willow's Duality to deal with this, as well as the comm of Cheeseberry now approaching the offending band of fervors. And it does look like Cheeseberry is going to get off some shots relatively soon. Going to be able to kill all these using an overcharge on a singular one of them. That is a possible mistake. The Jester has managed to kill off the 2 artillery that were split to go up here. And that is going to be that dealt with. Over here in the middle, we can see a large push out from JT using some T1 bombers to even soften up the defenses. And it could be very dangerous. T2 canceled out of Vils. Gun upgrade on the way for JT, and at about 90% going to be done momentarily, and that's going to be very dangerous for the comm of Vils. And for all of this, he's only managed to get up one more T2 mechs, which means that that's just literally the only T2 mechs. And as we look at just the mass generation difference between JT, who's at 55, and our purple front player at 25, we can see that these two players are definitely mismatched at the moment. With nearly double the eco, JT starts to push with a gun upgraded comm. Vils not in a position that is quite able to challenge this. Does have stealth on the comm, so does have the chance of running away if things get too dicey, but if you run away, you're the person who's supposed to keep this from being an issue. A line of engineers being called to the front line to build PD, trying to keep this under control. We do see T1 bombers coming out from Syndiclist that will start producing issues. And then if you look at the minimap, we can also see a drop incoming over here. We're going to go ahead and go to split screen mode and remove the minimap just so we can see how this drop goes. Over here in the middle, we're seeing a whole bunch of fighting going on, and it does not look very good for the side of Vils. Trying to build up some more factories. We can see more and more units pouring in from JT as the transport finally is about to touch down. It does look like 2 interceptors down here from Willow's Duality are going to be grabbing that. Is it going to be able to drop off its payload? We do not know yet. It's very possible. We will have to see. And the payload is going to be dropped off. Some of the fervors seemingly dying to the interceptors as the transport goes down. Engineers are needing to move. They're going to be able to reclaim. JT continues to push forward and cause trouble for Team 2 as the fervors are reclaimed and are not going to get any more done. They are going to kill off that radar, which is very useful. The transport and the radar are down. We'll have to keep our eyes now in the middle where we have some Medusa spammed up to try and help with this, but there's tanks. You can't just deal with that. We do have some Janus out from Nancy Boy K trying to cause issues for JT's advance. And the Janus are going to cause some friendly fire damage, possibly kill off some of these engineers and these pigeons, but the army of JT, it's not a car. There isn't a GT version or a GTO or anything like that. Either way, JT pushing forward, the comm wading through napalm and fire, but not caring too terribly much. Getting some veterancy on that comm very quickly, up to 2 vet already and rising. We can see, of course, more and more units just constantly pouring in over here from JT as the front has collapsed for Team 1. Team 2 making a great inroad toward defeating their opponents as they have pretty much nullified Vils, who is running away with a stealth comm. It does look like this game has gone from a 4v4 to a 3.2 versus 4, because Vils, of course, still alive, but everything that Vils owned is dead. Even this T2 mechs that was so hard fought is now gone. Only a singular mechs and a hydrocarbon belong to Vils now, and that is going to be very dangerous. Sending all of the mass that he can over to Syndiclist, who's most likely going to be the next target of this T1 aggression, bringing the comm out and trying to build some forward T2 PD to save their ally. But of course, this T2 PD is going to not go down quickly. The gift of a T2 PD and the thing that is most heavily taxed in this game is range. Anything with higher range usually has less damage, and of course The T2 PD having higher range means it doesn't quite have the damage of a T1 PD, cannot just mow through T1 units unless they are streaming in. You need multiple T2 PD. It does have the range to outrange them, of course. We do see some ASF now out for Cheeseberry. Of course, T3 also achieved by Nancy Boy, both achieving this T3 air very quickly. And they are going to be trying to keep air control over this comms position. Air is the most easy way to shut down this ground push as JT continues to push towards their opponent. I'm going to really quick turn the mini-map back on as JT starts to threaten the comm of Syndiclist, who's falling back to this forward power position that's built up from his side. It's going to be a little bit of a dangerous situation. If this power goes down, it's probably going to mean a power stall for Syndiclist. Meanwhile, over here we can see that the production facilities out from Zerb have been destroyed by the frigates and destroyers out from Willow's Duality. There is still, of course, some production over here with some torpedo defense. That is going to be very useful. But the units have killed off the factories over next to the island and now are moving towards this T1 factory. It is going T2, would probably need to spam out some Vespers as fast as possible if they wanted any chance of this. A destroyer being left behind to try and kill off the eco on the rock. Over here we see JT getting bombed by Scorchers, and Janus probably needs to find a way out of here in a very bad situation as the ASF from Cheeseberry are coming in to try and kill off this air that's harassing the comm of JT. JT still has units coming in here, but there's a bunch of T2 PD going up, or T1 PD going up very quickly thanks to Syndiclist's T2 upgrade. This comm only has gun. It does have a lot of veterancy. It is regenning quite a bit. The Scorchers dropping bombs constantly. The Janus dropping bombs as well. The air battle has been lost by Cheese, and this might be the very first ejection of this game. We do know that Vils is very much so crippled, but they did not manage to die, so this would be the very first ejection. Still does not put Team 1 in a great position as full share is on this game, so we are going to have to see how they deal with this. If they get this scalp, they need to immediately address the fact that one of the players will have double eco immediately after this. Probably going to go to Cheeseberry as the air player gets the highest score, and that is the death of JT, our first player eliminated here at the 16-minute mark. And we will have to see exactly how the players of both teams react to this loss. As I said, Cheeseberry grabbing up all of the full shared items from JT and then immediately giving them over to Arend, the rock player for Team 2. Meanwhile, over on this eastern flank, we didn't have much time to talk about it, but the Navy of Willow's Duality has shut out Zerb from getting into the naval game. Of course, this does not mean that Zerb is out of the match, and it doesn't mean that Zerb can't get back into the Navy. It's just something that sometimes happens with the beach player. If they manage to get up enough units early enough, they can definitely cause this kind of issue. Zerb being focused down, almost down to half HP, as the destroyers and frigates throw some shots into them. We see Janus are now out. There are some ASF to deal with them, but Janus were trying to shut down this land spam coming out from Arend now, from the old base of his ally JT, whereas Willow's Duality continues to throw shots into Zerb. Zerb's health going down relatively quickly. Two destroyers are able to output a lot of damage, unfortunately missing quite a little bit. These destroyers have absolutely failed in their target practice, and they have slacked quite a little bit. Now more shots hitting, but still missing. A comm that's walking in a straight line is a little bit unacceptable. These Cybrans need to train their destroyer captains and gunners a little bit better. Of course, they don't have captains or gunners, so they are, of course, little AI robot ships, but still is very unfortunate to see something like that happen. And the comm of Zerb is going to get behind the mountain range and be safe. the destroyers have been changed over on their targeting over to the power grid. Meanwhile, on the Western Ocean, we can see that there are a bunch of T1 subs out and not really an answer. There is a destroyer out. It will slowly kill these off, I believe. The destroyer does have torpedoes. I'm pretty sure the UEF torpedoes are the worst, though, on the destroyer, as they get Cooper boats, and of course they also get the shield boat, so their destroyers have a much worse torpedo. And you can see that as these submarines are taking quite a little while to kill with those long reloads on those torpedoes. And both of the torpedoes go out. It takes 2 volleys of from any destroyer to kill off these submarines. Any destroyer that's built up by Syndiclus. Syndiclus now spamming out some torpedo defense to try and protect this T2 naval HQ, trying to get out a shield boat, trying to just keep himself in the Navy game. Of course, not many T2 units coming out from the Navy of our end. In fact, I don't even believe there is a T2 HQ yet. If there is, I'm simply not seeing it. But so many so many T1 factories. We can see I need to select Orend, not Vils. Thank you very much. We can see exactly 17 factories, a lot of them now paused or idle, but still 17 factories out from Orend, trying to just get an overwhelming T1 force together. We can see that all of these mass extractors have gone down, multiple T3 mass extractors and some T2 mass extractors going down for the base of Zerb, and this game is looking relatively dire. It's looking like a very difficult game for Team 1. They're having a lot of trouble with the early losses out from Vils. I can't say destruction because Vils is still alive over here, making a mass fab farm to try and keep their economy going, but not quite able to as of the moment. And this massive spam of T1 units out from our end is now going to finally be meeting a defense worthy of them. A bunch of T2 PD have been spammed up by Nancy Boyke, who's been sitting in the background quietly ecoing. As we go ahead and take a look at reclaim numbers, we can see 6.3k for Willow's Duality. Our end, ooh, this frontal defense is actually starting to falter a little bit. The units getting in range, going to be dealing a lot of damage. Of course, this is not necessarily the end of the world, as there are more defenses back here, but these units are going to leak through a little bit. It's a tiny bit of a leaky ship, but we do see that these defenses still stand, still pump out damage. And back to reclaim, 6.3k for Willow's Duality, 8.2k for Arend, 17,000 for Cheeseberry. Vils sitting at 1.8k, 1.9k, 7.2k for Zerb. Syndiclus sitting at 13,000, and we have 4.2 thousand for Nancy Boyke. We'll have to keep an eye on that reclaim. I have a feeling it's going to make a big difference, especially if somebody were to get in here. There's already 16,000 reclaim. Even if you zoom in more, this is 9,000 over here. A bunch of reclaim to be grabbed up. It does look like Orend has some engineers on the case over here trying to grab it up, and that could be very important. Looking at the overall economies, we can see Willow's Duality sitting at 87, 388 or 406 for Orange. Cheeseberry sitting at 346, 4 with the COM and 4 T2 mass fabs for Vils. Zerb sitting at 120. So despite the early pressure, has managed to keep up a superior economy with the help of the island eco. And then we have, of course, Syndiclus and Nancy Boyke, between Syndiclus at about 174 and 298 for Nancy Boyke. We are seeing a lot of ASF out from Cheeseberry, who's managing to keep air control for the moment. Nancy Boyke trying to push out with this PD creep. Of course, all of the engineers are now dead, so this is a little bit of a needing more build power in this specific location to keep this going. It does look like there was an attempted naval factory spam out from Zerb on this most eastern side of the map, but it was shut down by some units out from Willow's Duality. Over here, as we look at the navies, we still see the naval factories online. There are still some shield boats and some destroyers, but this is getting very dangerous. Another shield boat popping out of the factory, going to try to keep these factories alive, keep the production alive. If you can do that, you can keep everything else going. As long as you do not lose all of your production, it's much easier to stay in the Navy game. Otherwise, you have to resort to tactics like this, building a bunch of naval factories in the corner. Meanwhile, over here we're seeing a bunch of destroyers going down and the shield boats going down. There are torpedoes here. Those torpedo launchers are going to be able to get quite a little bit of value, but they will go down very quickly to sustained frigate fire. The frigate's focusing on the T2 HQ, trying to bring that down with as much speed as possible. Orend may not even be at T2 yet, is at T2 as of now, building some destroyers, and that will help. Having that double eco, the economy out from our JT's old base, a bunch of T3 mass extractors, is definitely helping him in his crusade to produce more and more units to throw at his opponent. And it does look like the T2 HQ goes down. That's going to be the beginning of the end for this naval effort out from Syndiclus. Syndiclus now on the defenses, building T2 PD on the shore, trying to get these frigates out of here. But even if he does manage to, soon there will be destroyers which outrange these T2 PD and cause massive issue. The T1 land spam has seemingly been dealt with. There is Titans now coming out to even try and push this back a little bit, but they are not able to sustain an offensive anymore. There's a lot of units, but they're not able to just keep on plowing through the enemy's base. Meanwhile, over here we can see that the last of the torpedo defense is going down. A lot of the frigates going down. Syndiclus could possibly get back into this if they go for a lot of heavy reclaim and manage to just keep this off of their doorstep. But now with the first of the destroyers showing up, we're going to see a lot harder situation to recover from for Syndiclus. The destroyers being targeted onto the engineers, going to kill off that build power that's causing so many issues for the frigates. And this is the very difficult situation of the rock player with more eco is now got the beach player landlocked and is causing massive trouble for them. The Titans finally reaching the front and are massively going to impact the effectiveness of this spam. There's been constant pressure here in the middle, and these Titans are going to sort of relieve that. Of course, the Titans do have a lot to fight through, and there are a lot of Zooies here that can cause some issues, but as long as they continue to move, the Zooies are going to be a lot less effective, not hitting every shot, and these units are going to be able to clean this up relatively easily. A lot more Titans coming out, just an absolute spam of them coming out from this T3 land HQ out from Nancy Boy K, who is trying desperately to reclaim this land to try and hopefully get some eco rebuilt up here and get back on even footing with Team 2. Team 2 having been in the driver's seat this entire game. Now one of the fronts is somewhat falling with this T3 land span. We'll have to keep that in mind. Meanwhile, over here we do see a bunch of T2 PD being destroyed by frigates and destroyers, but they are getting a lot of kills in kind. There's a huge mass field building over here. Just this very zoomed in portion has 10,000 mass. That's half a Monkey Lord in reclaim sitting right there, right outside the grasp of either of these players. Syndiclus can't quite get there with engineers because of the Navy, and of course you're not going to see the engineers of Orend being here anytime soon, as they would have to cross an ocean. Even with transports, it'd be a little bit dicey with all of the static defense being built up by Syndiclus. And this area is a little bit of a no-go zone, a no man's land. Looking at reclaim though, we can see 9,000 for Willow's Duality, 13,000 for Orend, 17,000 for Cheeseberry, 3.1 thousand for Vills, 13,000 for Zerb, 19,000 for Syndiclus, and Nancy Boy K at 4.2 thousand. So these players are getting a lot of reclaim, as Orend continues to push in towards the land area of Syndiclus, going to be killing off T3 mexes and the like. We can see Syndiclist now building up quite a little bit of a defensive, trying to set up some T2 artillery, and we can see the same going on for the base of Zerb, having thwarted this destroyer offensive out from Willow's Duality. It's been destroyed by these spammed up miasma artillery. We can see that these Titans have somewhat fallen back after clearing out the spam. No, they haven't. The Titans have been transferred over to Vils for the micro capabilities, and Vils is now moving those Titans forward, going to be killing off quite a few of these production structures very quickly. Going to be getting a lot of veterancy on these Titans. Maybe not quite as much as the last cast with those 5 vet Titans everywhere, but these are going to cause a massive issue. Is there a response out? We are seeing a T3 HQ now out building Othams to try and counter this. Othams will, of course, kill Titans mass for mass, but you do have to keep your eye on the situation. That is a lot of Titans that can cause a lot of issues for Team 1. Continuing to push down the causeway and try and cause issues. We're hearing some strat bombers go off. We do see a couple of strat bombers trying to kill off the comm of Syndiclist, it would seem, who is getting T3 on the comm right now. Nancy Boy K has built an experimental. What experimental would that be? It is a Novax defense satellite, which is a very interesting option. The satellite's going to go up. This is permanent, constant harass. Everybody's going to need shields. It looks like the airfield over here for Cheeseberry is very undefended, going to need to be setting up shields. Also, no shields over here for our end, and only 1 shield out for Willow's Duality. This can cause a lot of damage for Team 1. We're seeing Riptides being spammed out and going in to this absolute clusterfuck of frigates. Oh my word, that's a lot of frigates. As the frigates try and deal with the T2 PD and these shields, there are always more defenses being thrown up. Those strat bombers still trying to drop bombs on key targets, but I believe they were just shot down. And we're seeing more strat bombers out. Of course, now the strat bombers could be targeted onto the defenses over here, onto these frontal land units. Not really defenses, but this spam of Titans out over here. We are seeing a lot of strat bombers moving their way towards the comm of Zerb. This could be a snipe attempt. I'm not entirely sure. Let's go ahead and try and get our cinematic camera going on here. Wait, no, I need that back up. I need to zoom in. Did that not work? Did that really not work? Really? Control V, turn that off. Where is the strat bombers? I don't see them. Okay. Control Shift T. Alright. Observer. Zoom in. Control V. Control Shift F1. There we go! A bunch of camera controls. Now we're seeing these strat bombers now come in towards the main base of Nancy Boy K. Could possibly kill off some of these T3 power gens, and that would be painful, of course. These strat bombers really skirting around the outside, possibly even going for a comm snipe, as complete air supremacy has been gained by the... Wow, these bombers are just not dropping bombs whatsoever. These T3 bombers are being very ineffective, all 4 of them going down for nothing. There's of course going to be more strat bombers on the way, but that was a little bit embarrassing as a second Novax Center is online and on the way over here. Cheeseberry commenting on his own ability to micro the strat bombers, saying, I fucking suck at this. That's a very grammatically correct sentence, everybody. We are seeing a bunch of Auroras spammed out down here, and it does look like there's a possibility of Zerb getting back into the naval game now. Willow's Duality having a large advantage, but needing to press it in order to keep the navies from swapping sides. It does seem that Zerb, despite all of the pressure, does have a better economy at 267 mass a second versus only 196 mass a second for Willow's Duality. A bunch of engineers waiting to get on transports for Willow's Duality. We are seeing these Titans continue to push up and continue to gain ground, but they finally reached Othams. Target fire may be able to kill off Othams, but it's not an efficient trade. It really just isn't. These Othams put out so much damage with those little cannons on the side, and the big cannon having huge alpha damage, putting out so much damage, but it does look like the Othams are slowly dying as they come in one by one, but there's just more and more constantly being produced. At this point, you'd have to swap over to Percival production, and I don't know how willing Nancy Boy K would be to make Percivals at this given time. We are seeing a strap bomb snipe come in for the comm of Zerb, and all of them landing, and is Zerb going to survive? They're going to need a second pass. Are they going to get it, though? There's really no air contest out from Team 1. Team 2 going for this snipe very, very cautiously, and it does look like they are going to get it, as Zerb was not under enough shielding and did not have enough AA to be able to deal with that. And that is going to be our second ejection, our first ejection for Team 1, and it is going to be Zerb, the rock player. All of his base has now been given over to Nancy Boy K. The production facilities that were attempted to be made are going to be killed off by the spam of Willow's Duality. All of these boats over here doing good work. We are seeing pings over here onto these engineers that were attempting to build up more and more production, trying to get back into the naval game. We're seeing engineers dropped for seemingly reclaim purposes, but maybe not over here for Cheeseberry. And as we look at the reclaim in this game, we can also see strap bombers still on a strap bombing campaign. But as we look at the reclaim, it's 14,000 for Willow's Duality, 15,000 for Orange, 17,000 for Cheeseberry, 11,000 for Vils, Syndiclist at 27,000, and 4.5 thousand for Nancy Boy K. Nancy has not been doing very much reclaim this game, but then again, Nancy has a very strong economy without it, sitting at 665 mass a second, highest in the game as of this moment. I'm going to take a moment while we have a seemingly lull as the units from Syndiclist have managed to somehow hold on over here. It does seem like both of the naval players, while they are not winning and they do not have Navy production, both of the naval players were putting up a stalwart defense, not allowing themselves to be run over entirely. But I'm going to take a little bit of a second to take a drink. Gonna mute the mic. Be right back. 1 second. I'll leave you with this. A look at a mass field of all the Lord of the mass fields. All right, I chugged some water. Everything is good in the world again. I can feel my throat no longer wanting to, my esophagus wanting to punch me in the kidneys. Everything is great. Either way, we do see a Novax coming out here to this western island, and there's a bunch of T3 mass extractors here. This could be very painful. That's a lot of T1 PD. That's a lot of T1 PD, Orand. Is going for the naval production, though, instead. I think that's a lost cause, unless he believes that the Navy is going to come over here and sprout legs. Oh, wait, they are. That's a lot of destroyers coming in from Orand, and they're going to start causing a massive issue for the base of Syndiclist. Earlier it was frigates. It was something you could attempt to out-tank with shields, but now that it's destroyers with that higher alpha and still a large amount of fire rate, you're in a lot of trouble. As we hit Control Shift, we can see that just right here, we're looking at 21,000 reclaim. That is ridiculous. This game is going to be won or lost based off reclaim, I feel. It's basically, can we stop Team 1 from getting a foothold and starting to reclaim everything? And we are seeing more strap bombers come in. There's a huge lack of air for Team 1, but Team 2 takes advantage of that. Nancy Boy K building a second experimental satellite system. Going to be harassing everything with that. It does look like T3 mexes over here are going to be dying for Orand, but Orand has so much map control and so many mass extractors all around the map that that's just not going to affect them very much. As we look at ecos once more, we're going to see 217 mass a second for Willow's Duality. Orange sitting at 609, 349 for Cheeseberry. Vils has climbed up from the 4 mass a second he was at not too long ago, all the way up to 10. Vils has more than doubled their economy in the past few minutes. Syndiclist sitting at 159, and of course 694 for Nancy Boy K. We're hitting those economies that are possibly big enough to... Wait. What were all of these? I was in this game, but Navy here. Suck. Build air here. Give me. Use reclaim. Wow, there's a lot of... I wasn't on that team, so I didn't see all of the reclaim. There is some salt, but the salt is not in the chat. He's building nuke, I think. Yeah, it's the second one. Let's see. Do we have any other salt going on here? No. Surprisingly, a low chat game. Normally, the games I cast are... there's a lot going on in the chat, I feel. Either way, we can see the destroyers mounting a massive offensive, trying to use Ravagers to trade with the destroyers. It can work, but it's definitely an expensive strategy, and I don't know if Syndiclist has quite the economy to keep up with the amount of destroyer spam that's going to be coming out, but as of right now, they are thinning out the herd and killing off a lot of the destroyers. A lot of the destroyers coming onto land going to create massive issue for Team 1, trying to target down those shield batteries, keeping some terrain between themselves and the Ravagers. At least some of them are. Some of these destroyers have a decent brain on their shoulders. Yes, that's where the brain is. It's on the shoulders. And a Tempest was built out from Nancy Boy K over in the Southern Navy, but it's about to die, having gotten 23 kills and 30,000 mass worth killed. I don't know if that's a cost-efficient battleship. It killed about 30,000 mass before it died. Let's just go ahead and select you. Let's select you. How much does a Tempest cost? A Tempest costs 22,000 mass, so that Tempest killed more than it was worth, having killed off a large portion of the Navy of Willow's Duality, because Willow's Duality is apparently blind. Fun fact, I'm blind. I don't know how I'm casting all of this. Don't worry about it, but I'm just really good. I play Supreme Commander Forged Alliance based off nothing but sound. No, I'm kidding. I can't claim that because that would be impressive, and nothing I've ever done is impressive. We do have some battleships now coming out from Willow's Duality and starting to shell the shoreline. That's a fun... shell the shoreline. Say that 5 times fast. The Shybren shelled the shoreline. I am Sean Connery. The Shybren shelled the shoreline. 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 She sells seashells by the seashell. She sadly sells seashells by the sea. What is it? I don't know. We're doing tongue twisters now. The defense of Syndiclist seemingly collapsing, but maybe not. There's a lot of Ravagers here. Ravagers do a lot of damage, but Syndiclist seemingly abandoning this after getting a couple of Rascoms online is going to abandon this position, possibly run away. Meanwhile, Vils has actually made a... Nope, that's just reclaim, isn't it? 6 mass a second. Impressive. Very impressive. We have a concerted bombing campaign going on over here on the eastern island. It is going to leave this base in shambles and mean that Nancy Boy K is not going to be able to very easily reclaim this as Navy out from Willow's Duality starts making its way over. The battleships over here are just shelling the shoreline. I'm going to keep saying it, but shelling all of this base, causing a lot of issues for Nancy Boy K, who now has a monumental task of microing everything. The comm of Syndiclist falling back still. These RAS SCUs are going to try and build more and more Ravagers, but I don't think it's going to be exceptionally effective. Going to want to get that RAS SCU out of there. It's going to be quite possibly the rest of your eco for this match. If you lose it, it would be painful. Trying to get up on second Ravager, just buy time at this point. We do have Riptides coming out, trying to protect this situation, but now we also have Galaxy-class battleships out for Arend as well, and they are starting to produce a large amount of airborne death that's going to be falling onto the structures over here out from Syndiclist. That GC that was completed earlier is now making its way down the causeway, going to be killing off a whole bunch of T1 air staging facilities. That's very unfortunate for them. They did not have a very peaceful or calm life from the looks of it. As we look at Reclaim, we can see the front runners are Willow's Duality at 33,000 and Syndiclist at 52,000. We have a strategic launch out from Willow's Duality, and it looks like that's being targeted onto the former base of Zerb, going to be trying to make sure that their naval presence is supreme and does not fade for any reason. A RAS SCU going down over here as we can see this situation unfold. We can zoom in and we can watch it as the missile comes down on the base. It's so nice, this game, just being able to watch this stuff happen. We can also see the wreck of a Tempest back there. It's a very beautiful thing as the missile has come down and has made itself a very big impact and is going to be the end of this base out from Zerb, given over to Syndiclist. Or not Syndiclist, to Nancy Boy K. And that's the end of that base. We are seeing a Maver being started up by Nancy Boy K. About 25% done on that Maver. Let's just go ahead and check the actual percentage. 22% done on the Maver. It was very close. We have 3 Novak centers. There's going to be a lot of standoff potential out from Nancy Boy very soon. We can see those satellites are focusing down a T3 mass extractor. It killed off a shield that was over that out from Willow's Duality, trying to spam up another shield. Not going to be quite so successful. Killing off a lot of eco potential there. 1 T3 mass extractor, not the end of the world. There are more here, but you can't be affording to lose those for such an easy cost. Over here, we're seeing even more of them have gone down. That Jester from the early game still alive, still on 2 kills, still having been patrolling here for about a year. That Jester is never going to die, apparently. Either way, over here, we can see that the base that was formerly owned by Zerb and now Nancy Boy is now going to be falling apart, going to be absolutely destroyed, and this is going to be a drop coming out from Willow's Duality to claim control of this island. That's the first time any of the islands have swapped hands. Of course, the mass extractors over here were all killed a long time ago, and Arend doesn't really care. Arend seemingly oblivious or uncaring of the fact that those mass extractors have all died. The Salem destroyers marching forward towards the main base of Nancy Boy K as Syndiclist has finally collapsed on this flank. We do see Percival's out from both Syndiclist and Nancy Boy to try and deal with these destroyers, and they are doing quite well, along with some Stinger gunships, or maybe those are broadswords. Nope, those are broadswords. They aren't shooting machine guns. So broadsword gunships also out to try and deal with this. Vils has built a Monkey Lord by reclaiming, because still has probably a horrible eco. Is this still... yeah, it's still all reclaim related. Just manual reclaim orders out the ass, it would seem. But yeah, the Maver now sitting at 36% complete and rising. It does look like there's a huge turtle out from Nancy Boy, able to control quite a little bit of what's going on here, having some T3AA even at points. A lot of eco in the hands of Nancy Boy, sitting at 503 mass a second. Having some troubles with power, it would seem, but managing that as well as he can and building this Maver as fast as he dares. Meanwhile, on the side of Team 1, we do see that there is no real attempt at game enders as far as that's concerned. We are seeing the satellites move off from targeting the nuke launcher out from Willow's Duality to the air grid, the forward air grid, I should say, of Cheeseberry. There is an Awasa on the way for Cheeseberry. And over here we see no game enders, no artillery, no nothing super spicy. Just Arend building a lot of shields to protect his land. A lot of T3 mass extractors having gone down to the Novax threat. That's going to put Arend in a rough spot, down back to 219 mass a second. Remember, at one point he was over 600. So that was a very steep fall from grace. But in the end has managed to remove Syndiclist, as if Syndiclist was a parasite on the beach over here. I guess no, Arend is the parasite. Arend has eroded the body of Syndiclist through his parasitization? I don't know. Words are difficult, and I've already stumbled over like all of them up to this point, so I'm not gonna stop. Broadswords coming out, going to be killing off these destroyers en masse. The destroyers do have decent AA, so the broadswords might die to the destroyers eventually. But it'd be a slow death, that's for sure. The destroyers trying to make inroads towards this land production facility out from Syndiclist. Syndiclist over here trying to get up some Rasa SCUs, trying to keep their eco afloat, trying to eco back up. Meanwhile, over here we can see Cheese Boy, or Cheeseberry, not Cheese Boy. Cheese Boy! Cheeseberry over here getting a lot of reclaim with some spammed up factories and T1 engineers. Let's go ahead and check on reclaim numbers one last time. I think this is the last time I'm going to check them, because at this point it's kind of ridiculous and it doesn't matter. 38,000 for Willow's Duality, 28,000 for Arend, 53,000 for Cheeseberry. Vils sitting at 49,000, 78,000 for Syndiclist, and he has gotten over 1,000 reclaims since the last time we checked. Nancy Boy K really not worried about reclaiming. As we go ahead and look at the Maver, it's currently sitting at about 66% complete, but because of that, we can see that the air situation has been absolutely destroyed. It does look like the Awasa did die. Nancy Boy sacrificing all of their ASF for that. Either way, we see a Monkey Lord going to die to battleships, maybe kills one, but it doesn't manage it and actually vets up the battleship. So, yeah, that Monkey Lord was not very effective. I don't even think it got a single kill. It did very much so hurt this battleship, but it also gave that battleship some veterancy. And since it has nothing threatening it at the moment, it's going to, you know, get itself a nice 9 health a second regeneration. It's fixing itself very slowly. Over here, these land production facilities still being largely ignored by Team 1. Laser on the way for Willow's Duality. Looks like there is a telesnipe in the cards as of this moment. A lot of assistance onto that. Is there a nuke loaded? There is. We'll have to go ahead and check for anti-nukes. Is there an anti-nuke in this forward position for Syndiclist? No, but there is one queued up. How many anti-nukes are here? We do have a nuke out from Nancy Boy K, and it does have a nuke loaded. Has yet to fire. We have a anti-nuke with 4 out of 7 missiles over here for Nancy Boy, and that's the only one I'm seeing as of this moment. not one to the south, so that could be the target for Willow's Duality, and in fact it is. I know. I am Willow's Duality. And we are seeing Novax is targeting down the air grid for Cheeseboy. Cheeseberry! Damn it, I'm gonna keep saying Cheeseboy now. Cheeseboy is stuck in my head. Cheeseberry, if you're watching this, your new name is Cheeseboy. You are now Cheeseboy in my mind forever and for all. Your name is Cheeseboy. I hope you are taking that as a lighthearted joke and not as an insult to your name. But, you know, if you're taking it as an insult, then good on you if you want to be upset. Over here we are seeing a power generator die. So these Novaxes are actually getting quite a little bit of damage. Also, I want to point out this. Novaxes kind of look cool whenever you're just looking at it from this angle. Just watch this. Watch this, assuming they keep firing. It looks so cool, doesn't it? You can even zoom out until you see them like this. And with that, the anti-nuke went down. Oh my word. Nuke defense is gone. And with that, is that the only nuke defense?
Strategic launch detected.
I would guess so. Is there one over here? I'm not seeing a nuke defense, so that nuke is going to be dropped right on top of the main air production facilities for Cheeseberry. There is a nuke defense right here, but it is not going to be loaded anytime soon. So that is that. Teleporter has been finished for Willow's Duality, and they are teleporting momentarily. Can we see where that teleport command is? It's over here, right next to the anti-nuke. Is going to be going for the anti-nuke. We will have to see how all of this goes. We'll get a very high up view as Willow's Duality is starting to warp in. They've noticed the warp in. Team 1 has noticed the warp in. A lot of T1 PD now being spanned up. There are some Ravagers throughout the base as an Awasa comes in and drops a bomb to help deal with some of these shields. Willow's Duality warps in, has the comm. Wait, did the anti-nuke go down? Willow's Duality goes down and launches a nuke. And the anti-nuke does go down. So that nuke is going to land, as well as the nuke over here landing. And I don't know if that's recoverable. The Maver finished and is firing off its first shots now, firing them towards our end and getting off quite a little bit of return on damage here. Possibly going for an anti-nuke, but now that there's a nuke flying across the screen and I have not spotted an anti-nuke whatsoever, we're going to have to see exactly how this goes. And the Awasa, of course, still alive, still bombing things, still causing a lot of damage as we see the nuke fly in and explode right next to the Maver. That's going to be a dead Maver. And Willow's Duality, like a petulant child, yells nukes in the chat. Such an annoying guy, that Willow's Duality. Somebody ban him from FAF. Seriously. Fuck that guy. Either way, over here we're seeing a lot of Salem destroyers now starting to make inroads, as there's not going to be any more broadswords produced. Can kind of guarantee it. And the Awasa is still alive, sitting at 92 kills and 163 mass worth of stuff destroyed. $166,000 mass worth of stuff destroyed. Is that full veterancy? That's full veterancy. And dropping another bomb onto the shield bubbled comm of Nancy Boy. This anti-nuke is not going to be very effective if another nuke is launched anytime soon. And this next bomb is coming for Nancy Boy, I would guess. And if it does, then that's probably the death of Nancy Boy. I believe the Seraphim bomb does more than 10,000 damage, if I remember correctly, bringing him down to 13,000 health, so it does about 12,000 damage. Nancy boy going to die here, trying to build up some engineering station. Is that what that's called? Yeah, engineering station, some kennels. Get those rover drones. Don't know, yep, this is the death of Nancy boy. Kaboom! That's the end of Nancy boy. And with that, the game is pretty much a GG. So I'm gonna go ahead and speed it up. Don't want to waste anybody's time. These two players aren't going to make a comeback, in my opinion. And we can see the Owasso does die and lands directly onto the power grid that was built up by Syndiclist. And yeah, with that, I would like to say thank you to my patrons. Thank you specifically to the patrons Sergeant Syphilis and Timothy Caldwood for subscribing at the higher tiers and getting their names said in every video. You can do the same if you would like. But thank you to all of my Patreons. You all make this such an easier thing to do, and it really encourages me. Either way, other than that, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, dislike if you disliked it, and yeah, we're gonna just sit here. We're gonna chill for a little bit. Most of these casts, it's kind of frantically me trying not to forget things that are gonna happen, me trying to remember when I should be looking somewhere. Whenever I watch these replays, I basically just watch for death timers. Of course, if I played the game, I usually just remember the death timers, but we have a bunch of strat bombers coming in, and they are going to be exactly the right number of strat bombers to kill off our green UEF, and then a control K out from the purple Cybran means that this game's over. So I've already said everything I need to say, other than if you go ahead and go into the description, there's a link to my Discord. That is where you can submit replays. You submit replays anywhere else, I won't see them. You send me messages on the FAF client, I'll see them, but I won't remember the replay ID because I'm not gonna write it down or anything. I have an area for that, so yeah, do that. You all rock. I love you. You're beautiful. See you in the next one.